Yeah. All right. A bunch of recording devices. Yeah. You know what it is.
You know how it is.
You know how it is. What's up, guys?
Hey, how's it going?
Today's a special day, actually. We've got ChadWick
guess.
live once again.
Yes.
I know.
After so many months.
Happy to be here again.
We're on video this
is the-
time, though.
This is the second podcast I've ever done.
Yeah.
Oh,
Really?
and
And I heard-
ours was
and I
the
heard
first.
it's-
That's
I heard
cool.
it's better than the first one.
Oh, man.
Cool.
You need
man,
more
cool.
people in your inner circle.
Yeah, probably.
All right. So, yeah, it's been how long did you say it was since the last one?
I don't know. Maybe, well, it was in
Chad, do
2020
you
for
remember?
sure.
Yeah, it was definitely in 2020. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean,
it's been a minute. Welcome back.
By the way, every single, well, it's not morning here, but it's more like, I don't know, afternoon.
Mhm.
I get on my feed on Facebook every single day. There is, Wyatt posting ChadWick Live's video, and I'm like, because I love your intro, and I'll just watch the intro and like maybe like 5 minutes into it, and yeah, it's awesome.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Wyatt's a freaking superstar.
I will pile on to I'll pile onto that and say my morning routine has become well, I do a lot before he goes live just because of the time difference. But once he's live, that's around the time in which I have scheduled each day to be practicing vocals and guitar. So it's come over here to the desk, throw on ChadWick on the monitor, and then chill and play guitar while he's nuking face or calling people buttholes or whatever he's doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's sick, man. Your stream has really, it's exploded since we last talked.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about the difference in just that, short amount of time. And then when you actually think about everything that's happened, it's like, oh man, that does feel like a long time. I think this whole, really since the beginning of 2020 has been such a time sink for so many people. It's just like time has completely lost all relative value compared to everything else, just because of everything that's going on and people being stuck inside. But I think it's also opened a lot of interesting opportunities for a lot of creators. I just think there's more people who had more time to go out and discover new content to enjoy. So I think for a lot of people, it's been a good thing.
Yeah, if you had yourself positioned 100%, I talked about that in a video with Lindsay. We were talking about how it was like if you're doing something online when that hit, golden, all set.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, man. So let's talk about. I want to talk about your stream. I want to talk about, like, obviously there's been some big things that have happened over the last little while. I want to talk about like all of it. Like, let's take us from, I guess, like the get-go. Like what were some early events that happened with the stream, whether it be good or bad, things you had to learn from, anything that popped up in your mind like along the way that you can share with the audience today?
Yeah, I mean, it's been, you always hear people talk about online content creation and the grind that comes with it. And it's definitely there are some days where it's definitely felt a little bit grindy, but for a long time it was, I'd be getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and getting ready and putting the suit on, and then going live at 6 a.m. my time and trying to stream for 2.5 hours before work, which is a pretty small window, but I think it was a good opportunity to practice getting good and like, okay, I've only got 2 hours. I got to try and make the most out of these 2 hours. And through that time, I was able to develop an incredible community. We call them the superstars, but there really are like an incredible bunch of people. And I think that's one of the things that's surprised me the most is just the relationships that you develop with people, because you talk to them every single day. And whenever somebody's missing, it's like, wait, well, what's going on? Where'd they go? And it's like this weird feeling of like, oh, well, sometimes people just get busy and like maybe they can't check in and
They don't
like,
live here.
right. And then like I have this weird desire to like reach out and be like, bro, is everything okay? But then it's like, well, like he doesn't know, guy doesn't know anything. And I'm telling that story specifically because we had a guy that ever since he joined has been there every day, and he just kind of like stopped showing up one day, and like it had been a week, and I was like, man, where is he at? It had been like 2 weeks, and I was like, this is crazy. I wanted to message him, but I didn't. And it turns out like he was at work and he got an I-beam dropped on his head, like a big, big metal I-beam. And like somehow he survived and he's going to be fine and everything. But it was like absolutely insane. And like as soon he got out of the hospital, his jaw's wired shut. And like now he's back in there every day
Wait,
talking to us.
what is an I-beam?
So it's
Oh,
an I-beam is
yeah.
like a big metal support beam. And
They're
it's in
usually
the shape of an uppercase I. That's
yeah.
why they call it an I-beam. They're huge. They're massive.
Oh,
And a
Yeah.
friend
shit.
was picking one up and it lost control and dropped and it hit him right in the side of the head.
Damn.
No idea how he survived, other than the fact that, by watching my stream, he became a superstar and he probably has superpowers now. But like it's
Oh, of course. Yeah.
yeah,
No, it's-
obviously.
Yeah.
But the relationships that you develop are just like beyond anything that I really ever thought it would have been. And recently, in the last couple of months, it's really started to pick up. And then even like super more recently, some circumstances in life have presented an opportunity to like kind of take my swing at the plate, so to say, and I'm gonna take a swing at doing this full time and see what we can come up with in the time that I can, in the time that I have enough runway to cover, basically.
So yeah, let's talk about that definitely. So I saw you had today you had an announcement planned. Now in my morning routine,
yeah.
I keep you muted a lot of the time. So did that come up today or is that coming up tomorrow? What's the announcement about? Or can you not say yet?
No, I can totally say it.
Okay, cool.
The big announcement is that I'm gonna go full time.
Okay, I thought so. Word up.
Yeah, and then I had another big announcement that, yesterday or the day before, which was that I was selected to become an affiliate for Pipeline, which is an organization that was started by one of the guys who basically created Facebook gaming and one of the biggest content creators on Facebook, a guy named Stone Mountain 64, and it's basically like an organization or community that helps streamers kind of find their way and has a lot of the technical background that you need to know and the stuff you have to figure out. But more importantly, it's like a community of people that like want to see everybody succeed. And it's been an absolute godsend in my kind of path to becoming a content creator and to have access to these titans of the industry that have already been through all this stuff and have some really valuable insight to offer has been incredible. So I got selected to become an affiliate, which is a little bit, I already talk about this organization Pipeline. Like, I've never been shy about my feelings. I think it's incredible. Gosh dang it. Oh my gosh. My Google Chrome is freaking out. Hold on.
No worries.
So I've always been really upfront about, like, I think this has been a great thing for me, and I think it's going to be great for a lot of other people. But now I get to kind of represent from in an official capacity as almost like an ambassador to the community. And, if you do want to sign up and use the code ChadWick, you get 10% off. It helps me a little bit too. But
hell yes.
It's been great. I mean, I just think we're really seeing the advent of a new, I think it's called new media a lot, and that might be a term that gets thrown around too often. But
yes,
I think that historically in our lives, Hollywood has always, there's been this group of celebrities that are kind of known everywhere, and I think that as things like streaming and content creation on YouTube and podcasts, as all these things really start to take off, I think you're going to see less and less of these A-list, I'm a celebrity everywhere. And you're going to see more and more of these people that are celebrities to a group of people. And like that, the same amount of fame that all the A-list celebs have had is going to be spread out among thousands upon thousands of content creators in their smaller communities. And there'll be different, varying levels of fame. But, I think as this continues to grow, like there's really no ceiling to the type of content that can be produced. And I think once you remove the hurdles to distribution, you can see the true creativity come out for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Listening to this, I can't help but think about it's kind of like the reverse path that music took. Like music went from being a local band and not really putting yourself out on the internet, and being famous and whatever for the people in your area, in your town, in your country, whatever. And there were just just such a small number of worldwide known bands, which are super productions like Metallica, whatever. But then there were thousands and thousands of small local bands who were playing in the local bar and stuff like that, and people know them, but they never get outside of their town or whatever. And now with what you said, and with streamers and content creators in general, it's kind of the other way around, because from these uh, world famous superstars, to use your language, to entertainers and stuff like this, it's going to be distributed and shrink down, and now we will get to see these more local communities, more tight ones. So I just thought it's strange, because these two things are just going completely the different directions.
Well, it's interesting. I think music still has a lot of ground to make up, because there's the number of music based streamers is like disproportionately low compared to the number of people who want to do it. It's just like so difficult to do. There's so many hurdles, not just technically and making sure it sounds right, but like all of the red tape that exists in the record labels and the music industry. And I mean, you look at a Twitch streamer by the name of Seth Drums, who's really kind of starting to come into his own and has had a lot of growth in the last year. I think it's really picking up for him, but he's got to play all these like weird 8-bit versions of these songs, and less and less of his stream is actually about the music production, because it's just so hard to find music to actually play. So much so that
it's not copyrighted.
Yeah, that's not copyrighted. That his VOD's not going to get muted. That that he doesn't want to get strikes. He doesn't want to get obviously banned from Twitch. But it's becoming such an issue that there's an entire industry that's being created now of just copyright-free music. Yeah. Whether it's like Epidemic Sounds, or which is that subscription-based model, or something like Harris Heller's Stream Beats, where he's got this huge volumes upon volumes of music in these different genres that's available for free, that you can listen to, and it's all copyright-free and available on Spotify. And the dude's absolutely killing it, raking it in right now.
Yeah.
Even at a third of a penny per play, if he's getting a few million plays per month.
Yeah.
That's a nice chunk of change.
Yeah, you're 100% accurate in what you said. Like it's like, I don't know. I think about this a lot, because I have there's portals in my circles. I have portals into different parts of the industry. Seth Drums is one of my close friends. I have guys in country. I have different areas, whether it be online, digital, or traditional. And it's like, based on the area you're in, everything's out of date. But based on which one, by like X amount of years, like 10, 20, 30 years, like you look at country for an example, like it's so out of date. And then there's other versions. It's just like nothing's really on the cutting edge when it comes to the music industry. And and the degrees in which they're back kind of just are based on the corner of the industry in which I guess the group of whatever the genre, or I guess not just genre, but the individuals find themselves. So it's crazy. And honestly, man, I gotta say, I think I probably would, like, I've thought a lot about doing what Seth Drums is doing. I mean, I don't want to say like, I would just switch over whatever, but like it's an investment in pieces of equipment, in time, that I have to take away from my primary focus right now to be able to do. And the biggest thing always comes back to the DCMA issues. And if that wasn't there, that would be something that I would have laser sight on, because it's something special to be able to play live. And if 2020 makes it so we're all inside, 2021 whatever is still the same thing, then it's such a great thing that he's doing. It's so amazing. I love his stream. I've been a subscriber for him for like 3 years now. I wear his shirt in like half my videos on my channel. He's the man. And I think it's so cool that he's being that kind of like, he doing live drums for an audience here now in this day and age. But then to have like the DCMA stuff come down on him and watch like his channel just have to go through that of 8-bit versions and everything. It's like, God
Right.
damn, man, this is something so special, you know? And I like, yeah, I don't know, just adding to what you're saying. So,
Well, and the interesting part is like I think you see that's where one of the biggest draws or why I think streaming is as big as it is. You know, less and less of his stream is about him actually playing drums. You know, most
Yeah.
of it is the interactions with everybody.
Yeah.
And I think that's the secret sauce to a lot of it is these are communities of people. These are the, you know, the things that you used to talk about with your neighbors and the block parties and the, you know,
church or
especially
whatever.
church, schools,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yep,
Like
yep,
so
yep.
much of that is being outsourced and I think provided in a better way in these online communities, and the streaming platform as a whole, I think offers a really unique way to establish those communities. And you look at somebody like Nick Merckx, who's, you know, obviously at the absolute pinnacle of streaming, but and like the dude is still like super invested in the MFAM, and you know, when he does a merch launch and he's got a bunch of his fans that are in England and are having to pay $120 in shipping, he's doing stuff like, hey, I want anybody who's there who's got that to reach out. We're going to help you out. And like, you know, he's paying out of pocket to help these people with shipping so that they can still get their stuff. But I think
Wow.
that's a big reason why he's as successful as he is, because even though he's massive and I think he hit like 400,000 concurrent viewers on Twitch when this new Warzone season launched, like he's still like invested in everybody that watches and is subscribed. It's awesome.
Yeah. There's a there's something I've found that what you described earlier in the creation of your superstar, you know, family. I came across the same things. You know, I stumbled in because you kind of said something along those lines where it was like it wasn't what you had expected. I was very much that way as well. Like I had, you know, starting the Discord server and like the things that kind of mirror what you're doing with your community and my own version for the music side on YouTube. It just struck me, and I can't even believe, like Dimitar, for example, he's right here. We're like, this is one of my closest friends, and you, the three of
Right.
us, is because of that exact model that so many are now running with. It's everywhere. You don't reinvent the wheel. It's perfect, right? And it's exactly what you said. It was what we had when church was a thing on Sundays, or when, you know, all the things that have been, especially in the last little bit, shaving off of even, with the with COVID and everything. But yeah, really took me by surprise. I can't believe the relationships that I started to form and the life experiences that have come my way because of just opening myself up on the internet and people responding to that. And it's just it's so beautiful, so awesome to see. And it's the other thing I wanted to ask you, the other thing I wanted to mention along those lines is I've had the same thing where like the early days of people like quitting Patreon. I remember there was like days where people who had been there for like a year were like, all right, I'm going to go somewhere else now. And like you kind of said, it was like, well, now there's like a hole in that, like in that circle, in that group. And that was really, really strange for me first couple of times as well. That was so cool that, you know, you felt that for that individual. And then he came back and like,
Right.
yeah, it's so sick.
It's, and like, I think that there's, you know, I try and think about what it's going to be like in the future. And, you know, I was applying for a scholarship program, which was like basically like a way to get sponsored by Elgato and Corsair through this pipeline organization. And I was putting together a video, and my video submission ended up being a bunch of my community recording videos talking about their favorite parts of the stream, and then sending it in, and I, you know, edited and chopped it all up. And in addition to it being like an incredibly humbling experience to have that many people take time out of their day to like record a video, to put themselves on video and send it in knowing that people are going to see it, was incredible. But talking about like, hey, you know, one of the guys said, we love the way it is right now, but we know that it's going to be bittersweet when there's 1,000 people, 2,000 people watching, and we can't have that same level of interaction. We want to see them get there, but like we know it's going to suck a little bit because we're not going to have that same feeling that we do now. And I think that that's, you know, in terms of Patreon people leaving or people, you know, going down the road, I think that everybody has a certain role to play in the journey. And there are people who are almost exclusively interested in supporting small creators because they have that opportunity to kind of like have a little bit more of that one-on-one connection with them and feel a little bit like a bigger fish in a smaller pond. And as stuff continues to grow, a lot of those, not all of them, but I think a lot of those people end up finding another small creator. But like that's an important part of the process, right? Like everybody's got to have those people, those early adopters, those people who are willing to be there even when the content isn't as good as it eventually gets. I think it's important, and you just, even though it sucks knowing that like, hey, maybe not everybody that's here right now is going to be here a year from now or 2 years from now. Like you just have to enjoy the time that you have now and for what it is, and know that not everything's scalable, and you just have to kind of live with it. But like I look at some streams, like even like 100 days ago, if I look at streams, like they're unwatchable to me. Like they're so bad. And like it just makes me love everybody that's there every day that much more. It's like, I can't believe you guys sat through that. It's horrible. Like 30 seconds of silence, and like where I'm just like staring at the monitor, and like that's bad. That's really bad.
Yeah.
And so like, but that's an important part of the process too. Like you have to be able to go back and watch your own stuff to have that shameful feeling of like, I can't believe I put this out for people to watch and like want to get better.
Yeah, I feel like all three of us can sit here and resonate
Absolutely.
pretty hard on what you just said.
I was actually today I was watching one of my videos which I made like, I don't know, a month ago, and I was like, oh my fucking god, it just looks so bad, because and but I remember because it was a month ago, and I remember when I posted it out, and I actually, as I posted it in Facebook, I typed as description, "This is my best video so far," and I'm just looking at it like a month later, and I'm like, "This was my best video so far, really? Come on."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always said, I think I probably said it to both of you, like in private conversations at some point. It's literally just public trial and error, And I was speaking specifically with the YouTube model, but they're all the same. It's right. Just literally getting up in front of people and trying something and hoping that it lands. And I'd say probably 60% of the time it's not gonna, but the 40 you just follow, and then it just gets to the point where you start to figure out more and more that you can put away that does land, and then you mold it as you go because of that, which means that part of the process has to be what you said a second ago, ChadWick, which is the looking back and the going, oh my god, what was I thinking?
That was horrifying.
Yeah, and I do that all the well, I don't look back anymore. I used to more. I can't stomach it now.
Yeah, well, and
you just ease you out.
Yeah, looking that far back is counterproductive. Like there's nothing similar about your content, 2 years ago and today, other than the fact that you're in both of them.
Yeah, exactly. That's really well said. Yeah,
but I think that's why the washout rate is as high as it is, right? You have to love what you're doing in order to be able to tolerate the failure for as long as it takes to get good enough to not suck.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's when people ask a lot of the times, like, how long you've been streaming, and I'm thinking about getting into streaming. One of the most important things I ask them is like, how many bad streams are you willing to have?
Yeah.
Like how many times are you willing to fail in order to like get to the next step or make it, whatever it is. And I think we talked about that a little bit last time too. Like that's important. It's like how much are you willing to suck in order to get there?
Yeah.
And if you don't love what you're doing, you see it. Like it's hard to fail every day if you don't enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's something, we all have these sayings. One of mine is Steve Jobs, like, if you can only ever do what you love. And like, that's exactly what that is, 100%. So I have a question. You broke down last time you were chatting with us, a plan that was really elegantly put in. You put a box around an idea that worked really, really well. And well, I thought it did personally when you said it. It was simple. It was that you basically just took the concept of what you were trying to do and you found parameters, time wise, and you put yourself into, okay, this is what it's going to be for this amount of time. Don't even worry about anything else. Just execute the plan. The plan is simple. No doubts, no need to do nothing. Just get up, do it every day, enjoy what you do for the 2 hours, go to work, and then see what happens, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that said, my question is, how has it worked out, and what are you, how are you looking at the future based on what you've seen so far with everything, the response, all of it, like your stream kind of thing? Obviously full time, but like just what I'm saying, like, yeah.
The question is a great question, and it also comes at like an exceedingly interesting moment in time.
I know, that's why I hit you with it now.
Right. Because the plan was working great. I set this 3-year, like, hey, I think I'm going to be in this learning stage of the craft for 3 years.
Yeah.
And I think that in 3 years, if I grind and I do all these things, I'll be in a position where I can like make a decision on going full time. And like, it was working great. An opportunity presented itself that like I feel would be a waste to not take advantage of, where it's like, hey, I'm going to see what I can do if I was doing this full time and see what that would look like. I think the most important or the most valuable way of looking at that, like, here's the long-term goal. Here's the things that I'm going to be doing every day for the next 3 years before I can even consider assessing whether or not I'm going to keep doing it, was the fact that like you don't get caught up in the minutia of the day-to-day highs and lows.
Yeah.
Right? You have a really great stream, and for a lot of streamers, the response to that is, I'm going to go stream again, because it's like, oh, I streamed really well. I had a great stream this morning. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to get all my work done real quick, and when I come home tonight, I'm going to have another stream. And like, well, what if that one's not as good? Now you've like wasted that high of like, oh, the stream was great, and then the next morning maybe you're not in the right mindset, or you're not in a great mindset, and you end up having a bad stream, and then you're, oh, I didn't even get any followers today, or my likes were down, or I only got this many shares, or nobody said bits or stars, whatever it is. But in reality, like, if I asked you, like, Dimitar, how many views does the video that you posted 47 days ago have on the second Tuesday of January? Like, it doesn't
no
matter.
Fucking idea.
Right,
yeah.
right. Like, it mattered in that moment because it's like, hey, this is something that's important to me. This is that I'm exposing myself, that I'm putting out there, and like that feedback of is it getting any views? Is it getting any love? Are people commenting? Mattered in that moment because like that was the most recent iteration of like, I'm exposing myself. But in the grand scheme of things, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, like, you probably won't even remember making that video.
Absolutely.
And
I don't remember some of my videos. Like,
it's insane.
Yeah.
That's one of the main reasons that I number my streams, or they're serialized. Like, today was like episode 3 something, 300 and whatever it is. But it's like to almost be able to catalog. And then when I go look back, and it's like, I look at stream 299, and it seems like it was such a long time ago. And it's like, well, it was only like 35 episodes ago, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's just it's a way to keep yourself.
I can relate to that. Yeah. Because you see, sometimes when I'm listening to music, and I'm like, oh man, this song is pretty sick, and I have to go on YouTube and actually search in the search bar DimitarK, whatever the name of the song, because I don't remember if I've ever filmed it.
That's awesome.
And like 6 times out of 10, I actually have done a video which I don't remember, and I have no recollection whatsoever. And I even watched the video, and I'm like, oh my god, this is terrible. Why did I do this? But yeah. And then when I see when it was posted, and I see something like, I don't know, 4 months ago, and I'm like, 4 months. And I don't even remember filming this. I don't even remember playing this, I was just listening to it, and I was like, that's cool. I should make a video of it. And then I'm like, oh man, I went through the whole process. I learned the song, I filmed it, I edited it. Zero memory of that.
but I think that that's such a cool thing about like your channel and the way it's developing. You're building such a library of content that like that for every new person that comes in, every new person that subscribes, like there's this beautiful present, this beautiful gift waiting for them of just all this bingeable content.
Yeah.
And like that's the thing that's gonna like you're feeding the monster. And like the monster's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more people that follow, the more people that start binging, which is gonna lead to more people seeing like it's gonna be incredible. Like it's gonna blow up. I love it.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
oh, sorry. I have a question for both of you actually. So something that I have found, over the since I like started taking this seriously, I guess what two and a bit 3 years ago now. Uh, I found that being a creator for me, what it meant was it was almost like I had to erode layers of pretend, layers of fake, to get to myself underneath. And each video was like it shaved a thin layer of another layer of bullshit off of me as a person, you know. And the more videos, the more time passes, the more I'm just now I feel like recently I'm just able to, the first time, just be myself. Like turn on the camera. Lindsay used to say it. I didn't know how to be on camera, and then for a long time I was like, why is that a sentence that works with me? You know what I'm saying? It's like, wait a second, what does that mean, right? Because it's like how to be on camera implies that there's something there. You're putting something between you and the camera. It's like there's a filter you're applying, right? And that filter, I think, for me personally, has been what each video has been slowly eroding away at, you know. And through comfort, that's a big part of it, right? It's like the more comfortable you are, the more you can be yourself, but just other things as well. It's almost like being this individual who is commanding a community, like we were talking about earlier, with the structure underneath you. It requires your authentic self, I guess. Yeah, it requires your authentic self because that's what you're selling at the end of the day. But for a long time, I couldn't really access that. I couldn't get to it. And it was like I had to keep creating content too. Did either of you, and then I know people personally that I've helped even learn how to make videos who literally out the gate, they're themselves. Like they put that camera on and they're like, no questions. That's the same dude I knew, whatever. Like 100%. So where do you guys fall in that at all? Did you find that at all along the way?
DimitarK, you want to go first?
Yeah, well, I won't have much to say because obviously I've been doing this for 2 years, and actually I've been talking in front of camera for less than a year, I guess. I don't know. I remember my first reaction video. It was so scary because it's one thing to play in front of a camera, but it's
Another thing to talk.
when you have to talk. And I've never been the shy type. I'm always comfortable with talking, but it was just a strange experience. And the lighting was bad. I remember I had this um, night lamp it's for reading books. I didn't have any soft boxes and stuff like that, so it was just blasting in my face and hard shadows, whatever. And I just remember I turned on the camera. I was like, okay, so now what? Now I should talk to people, I guess. And yeah, it was kind of strange. And at first, actually, it's well, my experience is not so much about directly what you're saying and what you're the way you're doing your videos. It's more like the more I do this and the more I get used to it and comfortable with it, I start feeling this sense of, I don't know, tiredness, I guess. So,
Tired. Okay.
well, it's maybe that's not the proper word, but maybe this is the layers of fake you're talking about. Because at first, when I started doing reactions and talking heads, I was like, okay, I know this works. There are these channels out there. They're having a lot of views. This is something cool to do. Wyatt's doing it. Wyatt, he's my mentor and stuff. I need to be like Wyatt, and I was just, I was just trying to be like everybody else, I was just trying to be super positive. I was just trying to, have awesome reactions, say some cool stuff. Now I'm just like more genuine. I'm not doing as much reactions. I'm doing other talking head videos. So I started doing tutorials and stuff, and I just find myself that I've built up this tiredness of being fake to an extent, or I've just like shed this layer, and now I'm just talking like I would talk with any of you, like with my friends, and I say what I think and what I mean, and it's just no pretend, no trying to be cool, no trying to use complex phrasing and stuff like that, because I'm Bulgarian and complex phrasing is out of my scope mentally. And yeah, it's for a short period of time, less than a year, but yeah, I think I've experienced some of that, and yeah.
No, it's interesting because, a lot of people, whenever they get into anything really, but I think it applies specifically with content creation, there's this desire for like immediate success,
Yeah,
right? And like that should be one of the scariest, most horrifying things ever, because like not only like are like you might happen to hit the nail on the head as far as quality of content, maybe production and everything is in your background and your first videos look good, but for most people, they're doing something, they're doing an interpretation or an impression of something else that they're trying to be.
exactly.
And
Yes.
imagine that, finding success pretending to be something you're not, and then being pigeonholed into doing that forever, or having the balls to say like, hey, I know that this is the thing that's always made me successful and this is the thing that's worked, but like I'm gonna go and try and be myself now. And like the horror that you'd have to face to like realize like I'm going to stop doing what works in order to
Yeah,
like do the thing that I want to do. And like that's the beauty of the process of grinding and growing the right way, is you start to get exhausted pretending. I'm going to stop doing
absolutely.
this thing that like isn't what I want to do. And you start being more confident in yourself and confident in your abilities and confident in the things that you like, to make the kind of content that you would want to watch and that other people will want to watch as well. And I think as you get more positive feedback from the community and from success or from things working, I think it allows you to peel off more layers of that fakeness, or and be more comfortable being yourself. And like it's a two-sided coin, right? That's one of the darker parts of content creation, is this desire for approval and this desire for validation from the community, and whether that's in views or subscribers or followers, whatever it is. And I think a lot of people get caught up in that and end up tying a lot of their self-worth and their value to those numbers. But the positive side of it is it empowers a lot of people to finally feel like they can be themselves. And that's why you see
Yeah,
so many like introverts be really successful in content creation, because they're used to like faking it, right? Like they're used to every time an introvert has to go out and talk or be social or whatever, like, oh, I got to fake it. I got to pretend like I'm good at this. And then they're
yeah.
good at pretending, but eventually they get the confidence like, I'm going to stop pretending. I'm going to try and be myself.
Yeah, actually, it was yesterday. I had this conversation with two of my friends, and I was actually saying the exact same thing, that with content creation and videos and stuff like that, uh, introverts seem to be very very successful. And both my friends started laughing, and they're like, "Yeah, introverts and video." And I was like, "Yeah, exactly. Introverts have a problem with live interactions, not with a fucking camera. You know, it's fine when you're talking to a camera." And what I wanted to, well, I don't know. It's not really a question. It's more like an observation, but nonetheless, um, what I've noticed and what I'm really, fascinated, I guess, by watching your videos is, and I'm talking to ChadWick, not your Wyatt. I mean, I'm really fascinated about your, calm demeanor, and how, how, I don't know, because me and Wyatt both are very expressive in our videos, and I guess in the way we talk. But your voice, man, it's just like, it's so leveled. It's like it never, there are no peaks, and you sound just so, I don't know, there is some kind of authority to the way you speak, and I don't know how to describe it,
Well,
and it's just like
it's mostly the suit. I sound like a full-grown boy when I take the suit off. So, um, no, I mean that's interesting. So like that's one of the it's like a juxtaposition of like my content, right? Is like I seem like I'm like really level-headed and like when I'm just talking and I'm fine, everything's fine. But if you watch any of my like the highlight clips that I've started putting together, so much of the stuff that everybody thinks is like the funniest is me losing my mind a little bit.
Yeah, because of
and,
that
and,
contrast.
and like
Exactly.
freaking out a little bit, but then like immediately going back to like being everything's okay. Like it's just like this little pressure valve that I let off every once in a while. Like
yeah.
I get bodied 10 times in a row, where I'm playing in a lobby full of people that are way better than me, and I have like a little mini meltdown, or I bring out the piano music and the the semi-transparent zoomed in version of me, and I have a heart to heart and talk to Chad, and then everything's fine. Then we're back to it, and like that's just one of the things about like kind of the way that is the way that I am in real life too. Like I've realized that the funny part, or the comedy and the cleverness is like the part of content creation that I enjoy the most, and making people laugh, and like that's the part that I'm really starting to lean into.
Yeah, I just I thought of this observation, because now it becomes a question: is this who you really are? Is this like your real life, the way you speak, or is just like this is some kind of, I don't know, uh, personality that you've developed for the purpose of your streams?
Right. And I think every creator has to find that blend, right? I see ChadWick, because that's not my real name, but like,
Yeah.
ChadWick is a cultivated version of me, right?
Mm.
It's everything about me when I'm live or when I'm doing videos like that. That's me. It's just like very specific parts of me that I think are that put me in a position to provide like the most entertaining content that I can. And like for me, that's not just like I don't feel comfortable being myself, because like I totally do, and I really do think it is a very true interact, or a very true version of who I am. But at the same time, you know, I think it's important to reserve some of me for the people that I care about the most. Like
Yeah.
there's versions of me, or not versions, but like there's parts of me that only my wife and my kids and my friends, and like that, like the moments where it's like, oh, okay, that's something that he wouldn't do on stream. Otherwise, I'm just like, streaming all the time,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
my
I
wife
get
and
it.
to everybody else. So, like, it is really me. And every once in a while, I don't even know if this is going to work through this mic, but the super deep voice comes out. But all I got to do is tighten the tie a little bit, and that happens. So,
Yeah.
um, I don't know. It's a good question though.
Yeah, and it's totally fine, and I understand that. And I don't remember if me and Wyatt have talked about this in private. Maybe just started, the topic or whatever, because I don't remember, talking it so wide and long. But I think it's a good idea. Well, you have to find a balance, for me at least, where you need to be genuine enough and authentic enough in internet, in order for people to actually know your personality, to connect with you, to relate to you in some way, and thus becoming your fans, your supporters, being a part of your community. It's vital. You can't connect with somebody who's plastic and fake and stuff like that. It's just like you're watching a music video. It's yeah. But then again, I believe that you should, just as you said, you should reserve some parts of you, some parts of your life, your privacy and stuff like that, to the people in your physical, what's the word, vicinity, in your,
Mm.
yeah, to the people who are actually your family, your like closest people around. And um I don't know, because then your time, or this is at least the way I'm viewing it, your time with those people and your relationships with them um are retaining this value, because if you're treating your closest people and your family and your wife and kids the same way you're treating everybody on the internet, they it's not so special anymore, I
Well, not only
guess.
that, it's exhausting. Like you're setting yourself up for failure, right? Because like eventually, everybody that's here today, it's just not going to be the same people who are there 2 years from now, or 4 years from now, or 5 years
Mm,
from now. And if you're investing in every single person the same way that you'd invest in somebody in real life, like that's a really hard thing to do.
yeah.
And like again, I think that can be a pitfall for a lot of people. Is you know there's this value that's seen in like being genuine and being a real person, and I agree that is important, but like it's also important to understand that it's not it's not a normal relationship with the viewer, and you, like, you also have like a certain responsibility to not, I don't want to say like not burden, because like I know a lot of the times when people go through tough stuff, like their community can be there to help them, and their community wants to help them, but to like also not develop like a codependent relationship with your community
I,
Yeah.
of like every time I feel bad, I'm going to broadcast that so that they can say things that make me feel better.
I've had
Like,
oh, sorry.
no, yeah, that was it.
I've used a word. I created sort of like a word for this. I've talked with students about this in the past. I've always said um, this is respecting the stage barrier and understanding that you're still on a stage,
Right.
and there's a
Yeah.
time when you will step off that stage, but when you're on the stage, you're on the stage, and there's an etiquette to that. I think it doesn't matter whether the stage is digital and in the circumstances of which we're talking about, or you're physically at a show performing in front of people, or whatever it is. Like if The Rock's on set for a movie, he's not bringing his shit to that set. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right. So yeah, that's how I would describe it. And I think that's very important for people to understand, is that you can be authentic without carrying that around. I think
Right.
that there's a emotional maturity that either will come about because of that realization, because of actions that bring about the realization inside of the content creation, or you have it going into it. But either way, it will come about, I believe. Personally, it has for me in some ways. I think that comes about in just the path, like walking it. Doesn't matter what it is, just keep walking it, and that comes about. And that understanding of, okay, you're on stage right now, like that means something to a lot of people. It's very important to them, and you have to be there for them in that way, in those moments, and remembering that, even if your setup is in your living room, like and you're streaming, you're not at home, you're on stage, you're still on stage. So
Right.
yeah, so
There's I'll take this opportunity to go ahead and check the box of the obligatory Rush comment and Rush lyric that really should be a part of every production. But Neil Peart, the late great Neil Peart, penned a lyric that I think has been quoted a lot by people in the limelight, from the song Limelight. I can't pretend a stranger is a long-awaited friend. And like we skirt a different line there, right? Somebody like Rush, their interactions with fans never really went beyond like a meet and greet, and
yeah.
even if you're the most charismatic person, like you're one of 10,000 that they're gonna meet and greet in a tour around the world. And like our interactions with people, especially in streaming, are a little bit more invested, but like there's still that lopsidedness, right? They know so much more about me than I know about them, but it still can present that opportunity to feel like, oh well, I know that person. And like it would still, if I imagine like going to like TwitchCon or FacebookCon or Comic Con or whatever, and you know, 500 superstars are there, like that would be like a really weird, uncomfortable thing, I think, for me to like try and deal with, because again, it's like my interaction with you is normally like I see your name on the screen, and like that's the thing that ties all these memories in, or these emotions that I have
Yeah.
towards everybody. And like
Yeah.
to them, it's just me. They're seeing me, and like it's the same to them. It's just it's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, and it's actually I had something happen to me last week, and it was very, I don't know, it was it put me in a lot of thought, and I was really genuinely thinking about it for several days afterwards, and I'm going to, well, I think it was Thursday, I because I broke my kick drum head, so I had to buy a new one, and I'm just going to, the store, and I'm walking, I'm with a face mask and everything, and I'm talking with the person there, and I'm explaining what I'm looking for. It needs to be two ply, it needs to be withstand a lot of beating, heavy hitter, whatever. And as we were talking, there comes the second guy from the shop, the second merchant, or whatever he's called, and he was like, I don't know the guy, and he's coming in. He was like, "Yo, I just watched you," and I was like, What?" And he was like, "I just watched you in YouTube, and here you are." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks, I guess." And he was like, starting asking me a lot of questions like, "How do you film yourself? Are you doing this everything by yourself? What is this? What is that? Whatever." So I'm leaving the store, whatever, and I was just really like, okay, this is a thing now, I guess. And like the next day, my girlfriend is came over, and we're ordering some food. Yeah. So the guy comes with the food. I pay. I get the food, and at the end he's like, "By the way, awesome videos, man." And I'm like, "Oh man, thank you." I mean, like, and he was like just there, standing and looking at me, and I was just looking at him. I said thanks, and then I realized I have nothing to say. How do you react in such cases? Like, what do you say? And he started like, "Awesome videos. I'm a drummer too. Very cool. I'm a fan." And I was like, "To me? Like, are you sure?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's nice." And I was like, "Yeah, well, thank you. I guess very very nice of you." And but then I was like, all the time I imagined, like, when I was a kid, when I started playing drums like 10 years ago and stuff like that, you start imagining how it's gonna be when one day you're famous and you're a fucking, uh, I don't know, you're imagining yourself being, this rock star or whatever. We've all done this. And, but ever since I started doing, these videos, and uh, it was never for the sole purpose of becoming well known or something like this. And now that shit's actually starting to happen, I'm just like, I'm not even sure if I like this. I mean, it's like, I don't know, because and this is why I started thinking about this, the days afterwards. I realized these people that I don't even know what their names are, I don't know of their existence, they know so much about me. They know my name, they know what I'm doing, they know, based on what I'm saying in my podcasts and videos, they know about my my life. And it just sounded scary in my mind, because I was like, man, you're putting so much out of yourself out there, and people really get to know you. So maybe I should really be careful about what I'm saying and what I'm sharing, because these people are all around us, and I don't mean they will be with some malicious intents or something, but it's just a scary thought. People who just greet you on the street or in the store or bring your fucking food to your door, and you know nothing about them. And what are you doing in such cases? And yeah, it was just really bizarre experience for me.
I remember the first time I went to Guitar Center with Wyatt that happened, and like where he got recognized, and like that's there's two ways that you can like go about it, right? Like you have to understand that you're always going to be at an informational disadvantage when you're
Yeah,
talking to somebody, right? Like because not only do you have you never had any interaction with them, you also like don't have all the experiential like memories that they have. That video that you don't even remember making 4 months ago might be their favorite video you've ever made.
yeah,
And they know everything, every second of that video. And they may crack a joke from that video that like totally misses, goes right over your head because you're like, bro, like I don't even like I zero recollection of that. And so like I think it lends itself to a lot of super awkward interactions because a lot of times you don't know like what do you say?
yeah,
And there's like two ways to go about it. You can let that have power and be negative about it and say things like oh, you don't know what it's like to not be able to go. And you see a lot of celebrities who take that approach and who are kind of standoffish and don't like cameras and don't like pictures and don't like, or you can take the approach of like it's a really unique opportunity, and yet it kind of comes with the territory, and it can be a bummer sometimes when you lose that right to privacy, or that you feel like every time you go out you're at risk for that. But like these are people that are used to letting you be in control because like they push play and then you talk and they don't say anything the whole time. And so like there's an opportunity to take that same role when you have an interaction, and having 3 or 4 questions in your pocket that you can ask people to take control of the conversation can, I think, go a long way to like making sure that they have a positive experience, because that's important at the end of the day. Because like if you have a positive experience with somebody who watches your videos, guess who's going to be liking and commenting and like interacting with every single video from like then on out? Like that's a lifer right there for as long as you do it. That person is like, bro, I met him, I know him, I talked to him, he was the coolest dude ever. That's going to be one of the people that's like wearing a suit of armor in your comment section defending you when some troll's in there trying to say something. Like that's a chance to like make a genuine fan out of somebody, and to like take the power back for yourself, to like be in control and to not let these interactions rule over the way that you go outside, or rule over the way that like I'm worried about going to have dinner with my girlfriend, or going to do this other thing, or going to a festival, or a NAM, or whatever it is. Like it's totally okay to find a way to be positive about it and enjoy it.
I've never actually thought about this, and you have no idea how much your input, how well appreciated it is. Because I'm far from that. I mean, I don't want to sound like the guys that 3 people recognize them and now they're famous. No, no, nothing of this sort. But I started overthinking about it, and I was like, okay, so once I reach Wyatt's level, because if you reach Wyatt's level here in Bulgaria, you're a fucking king. You know, you're there are guys with like 100K subs in YouTube, and they're pretty well known here, like very well known, because you know we're a small nation and whatever. So yeah, I started overthinking about it, and I was like, okay, so once I reach Watt's level, am I even gonna be able to like, I don't want to be like you said, like these people who are not going out to restaurants or not taking their girlfriend out for a movie or whatever it is, because every 15 meters somebody's coming up to you and he's like, yo, what's up, they want to talk to you and stuff like this. And I got scared. I got like, I don't want to live like this, but I guess it comes with the territory. So there there should be a compromise somewhere. But now that you said that, it's just like the perfect solution, because with you asking questions and with you taking back the control of the conversation, you can still uh, you're keeping the sensation in the other person that they had a conversation, a nice one at that, a pleasant. you're learning something about them, and yet you're retaining some of your privacy, and you're retaining, your, I don't know how to call it. You're not like on an interview where they're just, spitting questions at you, and you just have to answer. And if you don't answer, you look like an asshole, and stuff like that.
Right. Well, and you're leaving it up to chance, because it might be on a day that you're in a bad mood.
Yeah.
Or it might be on a day that you just got bad news. And like, listen, that's the interactions that you have with everybody. The guy that was a total butthole at the drive-through, or the guy that was a butthole when you dropped off your food, like, you don't know that, like, maybe he's having the worst week ever. And like, we take it personally because, like, how dare that guy be a butthole to me?
Yeah.
But like, in all reality, like, I go to bed every night thinking that everybody, like, has an inherent desire to do good. I think everybody wants to be good. I think everybody wants to be a better version of themselves, and not everybody has an opportunity to, like, really do that. And like, that's sad. That's a bummer. But like, the best thing that you can do is understand that, like, no, 99% of the time is not personal. And like, as far as like interacting with fans in public, you can kind of equalize that informational disadvantage, because like, they know so much about you, but they don't know that you've got this whole conversation planned out already. So like, you've taken now you're the one who has the advantage, and like, you can make sure it gets steered in the right direction. And as long as you got like a couple of good, engaging questions that will give them an opportunity to talk, and like, ask them stuff like, do you remember what was like the first video you saw? Do you remember like which one it was? And like, because the favorite video, they're gonna be, oh, I like them all, but like, a question like, which was the first one that you watched? Do you remember? And then like, having a way to get out of the conversations, or having a way to end the conversations, of just saying like, hey man, thanks so much for coming up, saying hi. How about this? On the next video that comes out, I want you to comment, hey bro, remember me? We met here. I'm gonna keep an eye out for it, and then I'm gonna say something to you. I'm gonna respond to that comment.
Yeah. Sounds awesome. Well, say something.
Oh, sorry. I've just been really enjoying listening. Honestly, this was amazing to listen to. Chad, you killed it. That was all phenomenal. I think the one thing I guess I'll add, just because I've had this experience before, like as Dimitar described, is like, I just I remember the first time this happened, and I walked away from the situation feeling like, okay, that's what we're gonna do next time, and every other time after. And like, that was what you said. You got to have those back pocket where you like, oh, got it. The first thing you do is you always ask their name, because they know your name. You know,
Right.
like I'll go into whatever store and like, yo, Wyatt, I love you. I'll be like, yo, what's your name? They'll be like, Jacob. I'm like, Jacob, I love you too. And then walk away. And then just like that, fucking, yo, Wyatt's the coolest guy. And then we're done. I don't gotta go any further. What's your name? Boom. That's all you need. Once you get their name, it becomes, oh, yo, I met the guy. Done. Get out if you need to, depending on the situation. Especially if they're like cat calling like that. So I don't know. That's the only thing I guess I could add. I went to NAMM with Taylor, and when I went to NAMM with Taylor, there was
Hey,
a lot
Taylor?
of. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh my god.
I just got doxxed, bro.
You did, bro. That's my bad.
Do you want me to edit this out?
No, you can leave it in 100%. I just think it's confusing in the story that, like,
yes, you're right. You're 100%. Okay. You've been Taylor for longer than Chadwick. Yeah. So I went to NAMM with Chadwick, and when I went to NAMM, there's a lot of nasty stuff being said about me online at the time because I made some mistakes, and the paranoia, like the eyes, they're like at a convention and you're in the drum section, everybody knows you, and the paranoia kept me frozen. I felt like I felt cortisol. It's like the one where it's like the whole time I was terrified, like just absolutely terrified. And yeah, like, I don't know, I guess I'm just sharing it because I know exactly what it's like to be in that position when when it's not just good, when there's the option for it could go a different way other than, hey, you're cool, and move on.
Right.
And yeah, it was really difficult to get through that whole experience, because I was already in a terrible place in my mental going into it. And then going into it, it just manifested in the space. And and it's super nerve-wracking, man. But I guess like what I took away from it was honestly, I heard a lot of what ChadWick just said to you, Dimitar. I heard a lot of that in the car when we were going to the restaurants or between that, because I was voicing some of my, like, you and you know, Chad could see it in me. You know, he could, you could. It was obvious that I was feeling these emotions, and yeah, I really like what he just put out here on this podcast. I had the privilege of getting access to, and I internalized, and it made the event different. It totally changed it around. So it's super cool. And that's my 2 cents on it, I guess. There, I said something, Dimitar. You happy?
This is your podcast too, Wyatt.
I know. I was just really enjoying. So, yeah.
And Chad, how old are you? Have I asked you before?
32.
32? You got a lot of wisdom for 32.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. It's I've been blessed to be surrounded by a lot of people who have imparted that on me, and to just have an open mind, and to always be willing to learn and get to hang out with cool people like you guys who, you know, I'm in awe of, because the thought of producing like pre-made videos like that still horrifies me. Like recording something and like scripting something, like that's the stuff that's hard for me.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy. There's a place for everybody, and I think that's what we're really starting to see in content creation. It's like there's an opportunity for everybody, and if you're willing to put in the work, sounds so trite, but like if you're willing to fail for long enough, then you're gonna be fine.
Yeah. That's Lindsay's favorite right there. Like she says, especially during the come up for her, a lot of the time it was like, you know, at the end of the tiers, she would just repeat that over and over as many times as she needed. And that's all I got to do is fail longer than everybody else. Like as long as I don't give up longer than everybody else, everything will be fine. And like, don't giving up is not that bad, because whatever you just did wasn't that hard to repeat. So just keep repeating it. And as long as you do it long enough, it'll click. You'll be fine. So
yeah,
totally.
So being, you know, the three of us here, it's like if we have to make the analogy of like a company, you know, there's a certain hierarchy, but it's not like hierarchy of power, or you know, of some one is more than the other, but like, because me and Wad are talking a lot, and in person we're talking about a lot of stuff, and more often than not, you know, he's giving me insights and, you know, advice and stuff like that. And I was like, man, where did you learn all that? And she was like, Taylor. Yeah, so we're like, it's me, my regional manager, and the senior in the same fucking podcast.
Yeah, but that, like, you know, that's the cool part. Like your ability to influence people goes beyond your interactions.
Yeah.
Right. And like that was something that I learned when I used to teach. Was that, like, you know, I was a firefighter and a paramedic for almost 6 years, and during that time I taught EMT and paramedic and anatomy and physiology and stuff, and like I realized pretty early on that my ability to like positively influence people's lives was way greater in the classroom than it ever was out in the field. You know, like there was only a certain number of calls I could run in the field, versus if I got a class of 30 or 40 people, like there's an opportunity to give each of them, even if it's just one thing, that can then go out and positively influence everybody. Like so much of the stuff that gets in people's way is them not believing that they have anything to offer, right? Like there's people in your life, in your circle right now, Dimitar, that like, and I don't know if you are, but like that you have to offer to them. And like, if all you do is compare, like, well, yeah, but like, you know, like Wyatt knows like way more, or if all Wyatt ever said was like, yeah, but like ChadWick knows like way more, and like has all this, then like then you rob yourself of that opportunity. And like you learn so much by teaching and by having those conversations with people. And if people just started to see that value in themselves and started to see that they do have stuff to offer, like, I think that the world would be a better place. But like, there's a certain like humility that comes with like accepting that like you do have stuff that you can teach, and that's not ego, that's not anything other than like you want to help somebody. And then by helping somebody, and from that place of like being genuine and like wanting the best for somebody, can be impactful enough that they want to go and do that for somebody else.
Yeah.
And like eventually you got this huge network 10 years from now, 15 years from now, when we're doing a podcast or a Zapcast or whatever it's called then, you know, and where we all just get beamed into a room and we're talking to each other. And then we can look at like this huge web of people, this huge network of people, most of whom we'll never know. We'll never actually meet most of those people. But like we had an opportunity to like influence or do good. Like I think that's like one of the coolest things about waking up every day. Like you have an opportunity to do that every day.
Yeah.
And if that's not awesome, I don't know what is.
Yeah, for real. For real. I have something I say to some of my newer students if they need it. And it's you know, you guys probably like in school, maybe on field trips, maybe at like gym class, you know, there was like this game teachers used to have the kids do where you would like pass maybe like a beanbag or something over the head, and then there would be one behind, it would catch it over the head, and then under the legs, catch it under the legs, over the head, under the legs, over the head, and then like the beanbag will go, and there'd be like two lines, and they'd be racing or whatever. And when I have new students, quantifying what I do can be tough sometimes. You know, what we do can be tough sometimes. So especially with how many, you know, streams, like not the digital, but streams of like, you know, outlets you're plugged into, right?
Right.
So I say to my students, if they need, is like, imagine that beanbag is like either feelings or love, depending on the student. I'll kind of whatever. So we'll go with love. So that beanbag's love. Okay. And if you want to do what I do, then you have to get in line. You have to jump on the back of the line. You have to grab the bag and pass it to the next person. And they're like, well, how do I do that? I'm like, well, you make a video. You pass it to all the people. And they're like, oh. I'm like, yeah, you're a professional feelings giver. That's what you're doing. You box it up, you know, and we use the cameras to box it up. We use whatever to tape the, you know, put the bow on top, and then you give that. That's what you do. You give that. And then you give that to as many as you can. And then some of them will start to give that. And then that keeps going. They'll jump in the line behind you and grab the beanbag and keep going. And that's what this is. And the ones in front pass to the ones below, and you stay part of that structure and you keep moving it back. And then the world's a better place in the end, and you get to do all the crazy shit that you wrote about on your wall one day or whatever.
Yeah, and just imagine, like, I just thought of that, and how cool would that be? Like, you're passing that beanbag or whatever it is, and let's say the beanbag, you know, for the purpose of the example, is not love, but let's say knowledge or some, you know, mentorship, or, you know, just helping out somebody with some much needed insight.
But I would just say that's
And
all love, though. You know, like if you're
all right,
mentoring someone,
yeah,
you're showing them that you love them. If you see what I'm
yeah,
saying, so yeah, 100%.
but let's say you're passing down, you know, your um it could be a worldview, whatever. You're helping somebody out, and this beanbag is, you know, in the best case scenario, is being passed on and on and on and on. So how cool would that be? You're meeting, if you meet, or you talk with like the 35th person down the line, and they have no fucking idea that this beanbag they're holding, you know, that just changed their life, was originally, well, it didn't originate from you probably, but you were like 35 positions ahead, and you are the reason that they have it, you know. How great would that be? And yeah.
Well, and that's the cool part. You can look at that beanbag and see like, oh, look at somebody. There was a hole in it here, and somebody sewed it up, and somebody put a new design on it, and
Yeah,
somebody, you know, put a patch
and it's
on
still
it,
rolling.
and it's still rolling, and it's still changing, and like we're all, you know, we're all connected. We all have these people that we've looked up to, or the content creators or musicians that influenced us. And like the web of, like, we're all connected. There's, and like that extends beyond content creation. There's way more that we have in common that we have, not in common. I don't know what the opposite of that would be, but like,
yeah.
there's just, if everybody would start thinking about the world like that, it would, I think, everyday interactions and the little ones and the big ones would be a lot better.
Be a lot better, but then at the same time, it's like they're already pretty fucking good. Think about middle era,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, for real, 100%. Either way, glass is something.
Yeah.
I experienced love in a way that I hadn't. Honestly, in some ways, I think it was like for the first time in my life. It was just like, obviously not, but you know what I mean. It was like really profound. I had this moment a couple days ago. I was on a walk. I've been going for like long walks. Been spending a lot of time outside. I was a couple blocks over, and I was walking like real slow. People get uncomfortable around me when I'm walking slow these days because everybody's got the mask on and they're all fucking, everything is terrifying. And it's like, calm down. The sun is out. UV will kill it. Relax. I don't even, not to justify it, but you know what I'm saying? So anyways, people get uncomfortable. And then in the crowd of the people passing me that are uncomfortable, I get past all that. And then I come to a tree. And it was beautiful. It's that time of year where the trees that can be flowering or have the crazy like purple and yellow flowers and all that kind of stuff. I get to this tree, and at the base of the tree, there was a man sitting there. He was an older gentleman. He was sitting on his, the walkers that have the little seats so you can spin around and drop down if you need. He was sitting on that because he'd been walking around the neighborhood. And we just connected in this way over the beauty of this tree. Like I just stopped and was looking up, and he was looking up. And there's a couple words exchanged, and because there was no fear there, we were able to connect over just like how beautiful this specific tree was. And I just spoke a couple words to him. He asked me some like base things like, what do you know what the name of the tree? I was like, I have no idea anything about trees. I wish. And then I said, I hope you have a great day. And like I bowed and I started walking away, and I started crying. I walked away and I started crying. And I don't know why. I mean, like, I guess I know why, but it was on a level that I couldn't access, and like I couldn't write it down, like I couldn't pull out a pen and, okay, man said this, I felt this way. Like, it was like, there was just something about me being there wholly, and like whole, like WH, whole, like completely, me being there completely and him being there completely. And that moment, it's just like, I don't know if I would have been able to do that if it wasn't for all of the shaving away of the fake up until this point. And because I wouldn't have been able to just be there. And it was in that being there and being, I guess, my authentic self, just over something as simple as the flowering of a tree. It literally, I started crying. First it was laughter, when it's like really like, like you just,
like
it comes
euphoria.
out. Yeah, it came out that, and then I literally, my eyes started watering and it just started pouring down my face. And I was like, oh my God. And it was like, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to look back at this moment for the rest of my life and be like, that's what love is. If anybody ever asked me what love is, that's what love is right there. Like, that's what it is. And I both of you, I've had talks a lot in private about some of like the healing and the growing that had to happen in the last couple of years for me. And like, that was one of those pinnacle moments for me that was like, that would never have been able to happen had the old me been present for it. And it was like the first time where I felt that, like, so that's what it is. And I got gassed up, and now we're going to bring it to the people. That's what it felt. It was like, all right, perfect. That's like clearer than ever. Heard you, understood, universe. Let's go make sure some motherfuckers feel like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I want to share with you guys.
I don't know.
Awesome.
Older people have this kind of vibe and this energy. I don't know. I can't pinpoint what exactly it is. It's like a mixture of like wisdom and humbleness and just the way that they're interacting with you, I guess, is just, they're like instantly, you don't know the guy or the lady, but they're like instantly touching the core of your fucking soul, just punching through all the barriers. And I had a kind of similar experience. It was not like infused with love, but I think it was just sent by something exactly when I needed it. Because yeah, so I'm on this. Well, it's not a playground. It's like an outside, like calisthenics stuff. Like we have a lot
Yeah.
of bars and yeah. So I'm there. I'm working out, and I've got my headphones, and with the corner of my eye, I see a rather small figure, trying to reach for one of the bars, the lower bars. And I just look over, and it was just like this old guy. He reached up. It was obvious it's hard for him. He was really old, and he started doing like these slow um, knee raises. So you're just raising your knees to your chest and stuff like that. It was obvious it's hard for him, but whatever. And but then I saw him. He started talking to me, but I was with my in-ears, so I just pulled it out, and I figured he would like ask me what's the time or something. And he started just telling me this story that he was the one of the first founders of bodybuilding in Bulgaria back in 50 something. And at first I was like, yeah, this guy's probably nuts. But then he pulled out a smartphone and he showed me a selfie, from the well, it's not a selfie, but it's like a
Yeah,
picture
like
taken of him, and like,
prehistoric selfie.
yeah, it was actually him with Arnold and him with Ronnie Coleman, which
Oh
are like,
wow.
yeah. And I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, dude. And he was like, yeah, don't look at me that I'm small now. I used to be huge. And but years are weighing on me. I got a bunch of sickness, illnesses, and I'm like, I don't mean to be rude, but how old are you? And he was like, I'm 83. And I'm like, what? You're like 83 and you're still doing knee raises? And he was like, well, I was doing pull-ups, up until like 2 years ago, but I'm starting to get old and stuff like that. And he's like, I'm the only one left alive from my class, and from I've got like less and less friends left alive. And it was an interesting conversation, but I was just not in the mood. And I was dealing with some shit, and I just wanted to take my energy out on the bars. So, and I think he noticed that, because he was like, just before you go, I want to tell you something. And I was like, yeah, sure. What is it? And he's like, don't ever stop doing what you love. And if you talk to somebody and they start telling you how they used to be and what they used to do, just stop listening. This is your uh, lifestyle. This is not it's not a diet. It's the way you're eating. This is not a workout. It's the way you live. So as long as you breathe, don't ever fucking stop. And I was like, Roger that. Thank you.
Yo, that's so fucking cool, dude. There's something I'm gonna add on right to that. Hopefully, it complements it. I said this to Lindsay a few weeks ago. I said to her, I was like, from now on, if anybody ever asks me what I do for a living, I'm gonna tell them I'm retired. I don't work for nobody. I do me every day until I die. Period. Done. Poet. Same fucking thing. I love that. That's what it is. Retired. I don't work for nobody. I just do what I
Yeah.
love and nothing but. So that's sick, man. That's lit.
That's
lit.
awesome.
Yeah. Cool, man. I said to a guy recently, he was in the car with me, and this was the individual. His name is Reject on my server. Shout out Reject. He made the guitar. I know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He made the guitar for me. So we had him over for dinner. Lindsay cooked some like hella lasagna. Let's go. And we went for a drive, and I told him, I was like, yo, you know that spot you're in when you're like, painting my guitar, or, he loves cars. He does body work. He's like, I love what I do, man. I'm like, okay, you know that spot you're in? That's the same spot that you play guitar from. He's like, yeah, definitely. I know that spot. I'm like, yeah, that spot that's like just you and that thing. That's it. There's nothing but. I'm like, if you like, here's the secret. Here's what I did. And if you can take one thing away from this experience because of what you've done to me, hopefully this can be it and this can propagate in your garden. I was like, whatever you do in life, if you ever get lost, just go to the closest place you can find that spot and stay in that spot as long as you possibly can and make as much time for that spot as much as you possibly can at the time. It might be 5 minutes a day. So be it. But the next time you have that 5 minutes, take that 5 minutes. And eventually that 5 will turn into 10. And that spot will start getting bigger and bigger. And the bigger that spot gets, eventually one day you'll be able to include some other people in that spot. And then your life will it'll turn next level. It'll turn absolutely next level. And then that spot will just take you over. And eventually it becomes nothing but that spot. And then you're done. And like, what do you want? What do you even need after that? You don't need nothing. You have everything. You're in the spot for good. So yeah, that's exactly, I feel like, what you just said in other words. And I'm just repeating because let's nail it home for these motherfuckers listening. Cool. All right.
Repetition is mother of skill. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool, guys.
That's awesome. I love it.
I think we came to the end. This was sick.
I can't believe it's 1 hour and 25 minutes.
That was a beautiful 1 hour 25.
That was we just started. I mean, like,
we'll have to do it again real soon.
we started like 15 minutes ago, and it says 1 hour 26, whatever. Oh my God.
I told you the second one was better than the first one.
Yeah, imagine the third.
Yeah, imagine the third. Yeah, we'll go 6 months, see what happens, and then we can talk all about it for sure. Cool, guys. Yeah. All right. Well, ChadWick, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. I love being here. Love hearing from you guys. It's awesome.
Cool.
Keep it up.
Well, there we go. I guess we're wrapping.
All right. And it's